Karen thought she had me boxed in. What she didn't know was that I had receipts, literal and metaphorical. My name is Denise Harper. I'm 49 years old, and I've spent the past 12 years working as a senior project coordinator at Reynolds Development in San Diego. That Monday morning, I walked into the office with a smile, completely unaware that Karen, the woman who had climbed the ladder off the backs of people like me, was about to make her final move. It started in the middle of our open-floor team meeting. Karen stood by the whiteboard, beaming like she just cured cancer, arms folded across her expensive blazer. "I want to recognize everyone's effort on the South Bay Hotel redevelopment," she said, scanning the room. "Especially my team." I waited. My name didn't come up. Then she added, "That redesign saved the firm nearly $300,000. And when I presented it to the board, "Actually," I said, forcing a smile, "that was my design. I created the layout, drafted the budget plan, and coordinated the zoning permits." Karen's smile twitched, then hardened. "You may have helped sketch the groundwork, Denise," she said sweetly, "but ideas mean nothing without execution." Presenting it made it mine. There was a sharp silence. A few team members glanced at each other, unsure how to react. I heard my own heartbeat. "That's not how credit works," I said, still calm. "You never mentioned my name once, and now you're claiming the design is your own?" Karen took a step closer, tilting her head. "Let me be clear," she said, her voice dropping just enough to still sound professional. "You don't understand your place here. You've become difficult. I've already started transitioning your projects to someone more aligned with our culture. So you're replacing me." Karen nodded like we were discussing a coffee order. "You're just not cut out for this job anymore." The blood in my ears was deafening. I blinked, slowly, thinking about the weekends I gave up, the permits I stayed late to file, the budget I slashed so efficiently it became the case study for 2 other regional offices, all handed over with a smile, and now fed back to me like I was an inconvenience. I stood. "I'll be gone by Friday," I said evenly. Karen's eyes lit up, probably thinking I'd tuck my tail between my legs. But I added, "But Monday? Monday will be interesting." Her brows lifted. "Excuse me." I smiled. "Enjoy your week." I walked away without looking back, hands steady, heart pounding. She thought she had one. She had no idea I had copies of everything, every blueprint, every email chain, every meeting note where she leaned on my work and whispered, "You're a lifesaver, Denise." She thought I was boxed out. But what she didn't know, I was already building the exit ramp, and I had receipts. I took the long way into the office Tuesday morning, circling the block twice before pulling into the garage. I wasn't in a rush. Not anymore. Walking through the corridor leading to our department, I passed the wall. It was just a row of framed project photos mounted near the reception desk, one for every major development over the last 5 years. I'd seen them 100 times, but today they stopped me cold. The South Bay Hotel glowed from behind the glass frame, a glossy rendering of the final design. My layout, down to the lighting fixture placements, and beneath it, in cursive silver lettering, "Lead designer, Karen Marks." Not team, not collaborators, just her. I stared at the plaque for a few seconds too long. Someone walked past behind me, probably wondering what I was doing just standing there. But I wasn't frozen. I was recalculating. I kept walking, face blank, head spinning. Back at my desk, I opened the bottom drawer and slid out a small, black external hard drive. I had labeled it Archive in black Sharpie months ago, just in case. Inside, backups of everything. CAD files, budget drafts, email threads, even voice memos from our calls where she said things like, "Just send me what you've got. I'll package it up for the execs." I opened one folder marked SBH, Final Layout V3, and clicked through the renderings. My initials were on every revision file. Her edits were non-existent. A text buzzed on my phone. It was from David Lynn, project manager, quiet guy, sharp as hell. One of the few people who saw what really happened day to day. "David, just a heads up. Karen's finalizing the team switch today. I heard from Jenna. Your name's off the Portland list. They're calling it a performance rotation, but it's not. I'm sorry. Performance rotation. That's what they were calling it now." I didn't reply. I just tucked the drive into my bag and stood up. That's when my desk phone rang. "Denise Harper," I said, masking the edge in my voice. "Hi, this is Karen at reception. There's a gentleman here from Archer and Hayes, asking for you. Name's Tyler Dawson. Says he's here for a quick chat. Do you know him?" Archer and Hayes, one of our biggest competitors. I'd never worked with them directly. My mouth went dry. "I'll be right there," I said. As I walked to the front, a weird tension crept up my spine. Why would a rival firm show up unannounced asking for me by name? Tyler Dawson was waiting in the lobby, wearing a charcoal blazer and a neutral smile. "Miss Harper," he said, standing to shake my hand. "Thanks for making time." I wasn't aware we had an appointment. We don't, but I thought you'd want to know. We've been reviewing the Portland redevelopment proposal. Very promising work. Innovative, actually. I narrowed my eyes. Excuse me. He tapped a folder against his thigh. We received preliminary design sketches. A handful of layout ideas, some zoning strategies. Said to be from you. Your name's on every file. My stomach dropped. I never submitted anything to Archer and Hayes, I said slowly. Tyler frowned. That's odd. We were told you consulted. Unofficially. The world tilted a few degrees. I felt it in my knees. You're using my drafts in your pitch to the city? I asked, voice low. They're already in the proposal. You weren't aware. I took a half step back, needing air. I need to see what you have, I said. Tyler nodded. Of course, but, is something wrong? Wrong? Karen hadn't just stolen credit. She hadn't just pushed me out. She'd sold my work, lied about my involvement, and passed it off to a rival developer. I looked at Tyler, then back at the front desk, where Karen's name sat on the leadership board like nothing had happened. No, I said flatly. Nothing's wrong. But I think things are about to get very, very interesting. Tyler led me 2 blocks over to Archer and Hayes' downtown satellite office. We sat in a sterile conference room that smelled like fresh paint and new money. He opened his laptop and turned it toward me. There. That's the version we're presenting to the city council next week. I stared at the screen, blinking hard. It was my design, my exact Portland waterfront layout, the layered pedestrian flow zones, the integrated garden terraces, even the custom lightwell feature I had built around a repurposed loading dock. There were a few visual tweaks. Fonts changed, palettes softened. But underneath? This was mine, every inch of it. Where did you get this? I asked, throat dry. Tyler tapped the corner of the screen. We were told it came from you. We asked Karen Marks directly if you were cleared to consult, and she said yes, that you were contributing off the record due to internal politics. Honestly, that sounded plausible, considering your reputation. My reputation? He looked slightly uncomfortable. You're known, in our circles. High output, low profile, quiet, but effective. Frankly, I thought you were jumping ship. I sat back, feeling like I'd been kicked in the chest. Karen hadn't just framed this like I was helping. She'd made it seem like I was defecting, poaching my own work and passing it to the enemy. You thought I leaked these files on purpose, I said. He hesitated. That's what she implied. I pushed my chair back and stood up. I need copies of everything you were given. Files, emails, timestamps. I need to know exactly what she gave you and when. Tyler nodded. We'll get you that. But, is there a problem? A problem? Karen had orchestrated all of it. She'd used my work to secure a partnership, back-channeled my designs to competitors, and positioned me as the leaker. This wasn't just corporate backstabbing. This was career sabotage. I can't say more right now, I said, but thank you for your time. I walked back to Reynolds like I was sleepwalking. My skin felt 2 sizes too tight. I didn't go to my desk. I went straight to the 3rd floor restroom, locked myself in the handicapped stall, and sat on the closed lid of the toilet, shaking. She had been planning this for weeks, maybe longer. That's why she kept pushing me to use the team drive instead of my personal archive. That's why she asked for editable versions instead of PDFs. That's why she had me take a back seat on calls, so there'd be no public record of me being involved. She wasn't just stealing credit. She was building an alibi, a story that ended with me escorted out by security, blacklisted from every firm worth applying to. I wiped my face with a paper towel, stared at myself in the mirror. My jaw clenched, my eyes red. A little after 2 p.m., a company-wide alert pinged across my phone. Staff meeting scheduled. 3 p.m. main conference room. Special guest, Harold Reynolds. Harold, the founder, the man himself. We hadn't seen him in 6 months, not since the Portland proposal got fast-tracked by the city's Urban Design Council. He wasn't flying in for small talk. He was coming to make something official. I already knew what. I stepped into the elevator and leaned against the mirrored wall. Karen was going to take the stage. She was going to unveil the Archer and Hayes partnership like she was the genius who brokered it. She'd present my designs, rebranded and polished, and say it was her strategic leadership that made it all possible. And then she'd be promoted, creative director, maybe more. I would be nowhere, not in the credits, not on the staff list, not even in the building, once they handed me that severance envelope. I looked down at my tote bag. The hard drive inside felt like a stone, heavy, but solid, real. Karen thought she'd wiped her tracks, but she didn't know what I kept, what I saved, what I could prove. She didn't know that I was already piecing together the truth. She thought I was gone, but I was still here, and I was about to ruin the script. The main conference room was already half full by the time I walked in. Karen stood near the head of the long mahogany table, laughing lightly with Harold Reynolds, her manicured hand resting casually on the back of his chair. She looked completely at ease, like someone who had already won. I took a seat near the far end of the table, close to the wall. Not too visible, not invisible either. Harold clapped his hands together once as the room quieted. Good to see everyone. I flew in this morning because I wanted to personally announce a new strategic partnership that's going to put Reynolds development on the map, again. Everyone leaned forward, phones tilted, probably recording. Karen gave a modest smile like she was trying not to look too proud. Effective immediately, Harold continued. We're partnering with Archer and Hayes on the Portland waterfront redevelopment. Their team was so impressed with the concepts and early-phase visuals, they've agreed to co-lead the entire project. That means design, zoning, budgeting, everything. Applause broke out. Karen stepped forward. I want to thank the leadership for trusting me with this collaboration, she began. When I first drafted the concept sketches, I knew we had something special. I personally oversaw every design iteration and coordinated with Archer and Hayes to ensure a seamless vision. Every word hit like a slap. She didn't even flinch. She was walking them through my work, my urban flow models, my adaptive reuse plan, even the damn fountain design I sketched on a napkin 6 months ago and spinning it as her own. Let's take a quick look, she said, clicking a remote. The projector beamed to life. Up popped the rendering. My rendering. She hadn't changed a single thing. I felt heat crawl up my neck, but I didn't move. Not yet. She walked through the slides smoothly, her voice honeyed and polished. She used all the right phrases: community integration, sustainability layers, low visibility infrastructure, terms I'd coined in internal memos. Then came the closing line. I'm honored to be promoted to creative director as of today, and I look forward to leading Reynolds into this new phase. Another round of applause. Harold smiled and extended his hand to her like he was proud of a daughter. I stood up. Harold, I said. The room quieted. Karen's head snapped toward me, a flicker of surprise darting across her face. Then she recovered. I'm in the middle of presenting, she said sweetly, controlling her tone. I'd like to speak with Harold, just for a moment. She stepped in front of him slightly, shielding him like I was a threat. If this is about your transition, we can discuss it privately later. I'd rather talk about Portland, I said. Karen's eyes flashed. Denise, this is neither the time nor the place. No, I think it is, I said. I turned to Harold. If you're about to stake our company's future on a project built on stolen work, I think the rest of the staff deserves to hear it. Karen's face went stiff. That's enough. You're out of line. Harold raised a hand. Karen, hold on. Denise, what exactly are you saying? Karen leaned in. She's been struggling lately. There have been complaints about her behavior. I have documentation, actually. She turned to her bag. I'm not struggling, I said. I'm being set up. Karen pulled out a manila folder and handed it to Harold. Here, evidence of misconduct, including emails. She's been leaking proprietary files. I froze. She was doing it. The final move. The betrayal wrapped in professionalism. Harold flipped through the folder slowly, his brow furrowing. These show Denise sent files to Archer and Hayes, Karen said. Without clearance. We believe she was trying to position herself for a job there. It's unethical. That's why I had to remove her from the Portland team. I stepped forward. I never sent those files. Karen accessed my account while I was on vacation. She used my login to plant those emails. Karen laughed, too loud. That's ridiculous. Why would I do that? To take credit. To move up. To destroy me on your way there. Harold looked between us. The room was dead quiet. I could see the doubt forming on his face, but not enough. Not yet. I have evidence, I said, lifting my bag. But I won't hand it over unless I get a real audience. This isn't a one-on-one HR formality. If you want to know the truth, I'll show you. But not like this. Karen scoffed. You're bluffing. I met her eyes. Then let's schedule a meeting, I said. Full staff. You, me, Harold, IT, Archer, and Hayes if they'll come. Because if I'm going down, I'm taking the truth with me. Karen paled for a split second, just long enough to know I had her scared. Harold looked at her, then back at me. I want to see what she has, he said. And just like that, the spotlight shifted. That night, I sat at my kitchen table, the black external drive plugged into my laptop, file windows open like little dominoes waiting to fall. I started organizing everything. I wasn't just going to present documents. I was going to build a narrative. Every design, every timestamp, every email that tied Karen to my work and proved it was mine. There was enough to bury her. But I couldn't shake one thought. What if she had planted more than those emails? I clicked open my sent folder. Scanned. Nothing unusual. Then I dug deeper, archived mail, deleted mail, old drafts. That's when I found it. A message supposedly from me to a Tyler Dawson at Archer and Hayes. The subject line read, Unofficial Design Submission Confidential. The body said, Happy to assist. Let me know if the firm is hiring. Attached were 3 PDFs, my Portland designs. My blood turned cold. I didn't send this. I knew I didn't. But it was in my sent folder, dated 2 weeks ago, right when I was out on vacation in Yosemite, completely off the grid. I sat back, staring at the screen. She'd used my login. She'd waited until I was gone, when she knew I wouldn't be watching. She sent it from my account to fake a paper trail. Everything was calculated, down to the wording, the timing, the file names. Karen wasn't just covering her tracks. She was paving a road that led straight to me. My phone buzzed. David. I answered on the second ring. Hey, he said. Lo, you home? Yeah, I'm coming over. 15 minutes later, he walked in with a six-pack and the exhausted look of someone carrying more than just gossip. We sat on my couch. She's telling people you betrayed the company, he said without preamble. That you leaked to Archer and Hayes behind her back and tried to sell your way in. She's got printed emails and a whole pitch about how you were playing both sides. I didn't respond. I just turned the laptop toward him and showed him the fake email. David's mouth opened, then shut. He shook his head. She's unreal. She accessed my system, I said quietly. Used my email. Probably during the week I was gone. David leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. And now it gets worse. Archer and Hayes reached out. I blinked. To who? To me. And to HR. They said they were considering offering you a role. Said Karen gave them the green light to approach you. She told them you were open to new opportunities. That stopped me. She wants them to offer me a job? I asked. David nodded. Think about it. If you accept, it proves her story. You were trading inside material for a seat at the competitor's table. If you decline, it still circulates that you were in talks. Either way, she wins. Unless I catch her in the lie first, I finished. I stood up, pacing the room. She'd covered every angle. The fake emails made it look like I initiated contact. The job offer, real or not, would cement the motive. And the planted evidence in my account made her narrative airtight. It was a chess game, and she'd planned 5 moves ahead. My defenses looked like guilt. My silence looked like proof. And any pushback would be painted as desperation. So what's your play? David asked. I exhaled slowly, flipped the board. I was done trying to fix things from inside. She built a system that favored her lies. But I had the one thing she couldn't fake. The origin. My source files, my drafts, my notes, all timestamped from months before she even requested copies. I had voice memos, video of screen captures while I was building models. All stored, all dated. I didn't need to argue. I just needed to show it. And when I did, her whole house of cards would collapse. The next morning, I brewed a pot of coffee I didn't even drink. I just needed the smell, something real to anchor me while I dug through 12 years of digital files. I wasn't just looking for proof anymore. I was building a case, a timeline, a forensic map of how Karen took my work and twisted it into her own story. Halfway through the second hour, buried in an old backup folder, I found the first gold nugget. An email from Karen, dated 14 months ago. Subject line, Coastal Revision looks brilliant. Karen, Denise, this is amazing. I just presented the Coastal Hotel redesign to Harold, and he was floored. You made it seamless. Take a bow. This is your masterpiece. I leaned back in my chair. She hadn't even tried to take credit back then, back when she still needed me. I pulled more files. Client notes signed with layout approved by Denise H. A project schedule with my initial stamped next to every milestone. Performance reviews from HR that called me the creative anchor of the design team. Then a recorded Zoom meeting from 6 months ago, where Karen literally said, Denise, just send me the visuals. I'll do the talking. I had everything. I opened a blank document and started compiling. Title, Dossier, Portland Project Authorship, Subfolders, Design Files, Emails, Recordings, Performance Reviews, Project Logs. I added a 1-page summary up top. A clear, dated account showing that I originated every key piece of the project, while Karen maneuvered to present it as her own. My phone buzzed just after 3 p.m. It was an email. Subject, Urgent Coffee, from Harold Reynolds. Denise, are you available to meet this afternoon? I'd appreciate a candid conversation. Offsite is best. There are questions I need answered, especially regarding the Archer and Hayes designs. Harold. I stared at the screen. He wasn't accusing me. He was reaching out. Something had shifted. We met at a small coffee shop near the marina. Harold looked tired, looser around the eyes than usual, but focused. I'm sorry for the short notice, he said as I sat down. But I've been fielding calls all morning. I kept my expression neutral. From who? The Portland Zoning Board, he said. Also 2 city officials. They want clarifications on design specs, infrastructure plans, site usage assumptions. I sent Karen the list. She couldn't answer half of it. I didn't respond. Harold sighed. I built this firm from scratch. I've seen every kind of ego, every kind of power grab. But this, he paused, choosing his words. This feels calculated, and it doesn't add up, especially considering your reputation. I watched him carefully. So what are you asking me, Harold? I'm asking if the designs are yours. I didn't blink. They are. He nodded once. Then I need your files. Today. If what you're saying is true, Karen's been misleading us. Badly. But if you have what I think you have, we might be able to salvage the project before it becomes a scandal. I sipped my coffee, which had gone cold. You want the files because the city's breathing down your neck, not because you believe me. That's not fair, he said. It's not untrue. He hesitated, then leaned in. Denise, I don't know what Karen's done, but I know how much money and trust is wrapped up in this deal. If we don't move carefully, this could take down more than just her. That's when it hit me. He wasn't trying to uncover the truth. He was trying to manage fallout. You still think Karen can be protected, I said. That this can be spun. I'm saying we all win if we handle this internally. I shook my head slowly. No, you win. She walks away with a quiet resignation and a good reference. I disappear. Again, Harold rubbed his forehead. What do you want, Denise? I met his eyes. Credit. My name on everything I built. Karen off my projects. And no gag orders. He looked down at his cup, then back at me. You'd really burn it all down? I'm not burning anything, I said. I'm just letting the truth speak louder than the lies. He sat back in his chair. Then I suppose Monday's going to be a hell of a meeting. I stood up, reached into my bag, and placed a small USB drive on the table. That's the sample. The rest stays with me until the room is full, the projector is on, and the truth gets its turn. Harold didn't pick it up. He just stared at it, like it was ticking. Karen's house of cards wasn't just wobbling. It was about to collapse. Monday morning arrived like the start of a storm. Gray sky, heavy air, that unnatural stillness before everything breaks loose. By 8:30 a.m., Harold had sent out an all-hands invite titled, Portland Project Clarification Meeting Mandatory. Location, Executive Boardroom. Time, 10 a.m. sharp. By 9:50, the room was packed. Not just our department, people from legal, city planning, even someone from PR. I spotted Tyler Dawson from Archer and Hayes sitting stiffly near the front. Karen stood off to the side in a crisp navy pantsuit, hair perfectly blown out, a tight smile painted across her face like she was still convinced she was untouchable. Harold stood and cleared his throat. Before we go further, he said, we're going to walk through the source development process of the Portland proposal. Denise, you may begin. Karen's head snapped toward him. Wait, what? Harold didn't look at her. She has the floor. I stood slowly, pulled a USB from my bag, and inserted it into the projector laptop. The first slide came up. Authorship and process. A verified timeline. Gasps. A few coughs. But mostly silence. Everything you're about to see, I said, is timestamped, logged, and backed up. These are my original concept sketches, zoning revisions, and project layouts for the Portland waterfront redevelopment, all created before Karen ever referenced them in internal meetings. Slide by slide, I walked through it, dates, file metadata, side-by-side comparisons. Tyler sat up straighter as I showed the original renderings, identical to what Archer and Hayes had pitched but created months earlier under my credentials. Karen stepped forward. This is an ambush. Please sit, Harold said, voice low but firm. I kept going. Voice memos, calendar invites, emails from Karen complimenting the designs, long before she claimed authorship. Then came the email she had faked, highlighted in red, timestamped during my Yosemite trip. I clicked to the next slide. Remote login access. IT report. Yes, I said, she sent those emails, but not from her device. IT confirmed someone accessed my workstation remotely while I was gone. That someone was Karen. Karen's voice cracked. You're twisting this. But no one was listening to her now. Eyes were on me, or worse for her, the screen. I clicked the final slide. Performance reviews plus client credits. On one side, glowing feedback addressed to me. On the other, Karen's name, added only at the final presentation stage. Then, like fate had a sense of timing, something happened I hadn't expected. A junior designer, Julia, stood up. Karen did this to me too. With the Denver bid, a ripple moved through the room. Another voice followed. Marcus, a guy from the zoning team. She stole my utility draft layouts last year. Told Harold I'd handed her a mess. Then a third. Karen's eyes darted from face to face. Her voice hitched. This is a witch hunt. No, Harold said, standing. This is a reckoning. He turned to HR. Effective immediately, Karen Marks is terminated for falsifying internal records, intellectual property theft, and ethics violations. Karen just stood there, frozen. For once, she had no comeback, no speech, no exit plan. As security walked her out, Harold turned back to me. Denise, thank you. You just saved this company from burning down. I didn't smile. Not yet. This wasn't about revenge. It was about truth finally walking through the front door. The boardroom cleared slowly, like people didn't quite know what to do with themselves. Karen's fall had been swift, but what lingered in the air wasn't celebration. It was shock. I stayed behind as Harold and the legal team conferred quietly near the back of the room. I could hear snippets, press protocol, contact the city, scrub every project she touched. They were putting out fires, but I was still standing in the ashes. Harold turned to me. We'll need to prepare a formal release. I'll work with PR. I'm not interested in spin, I said. I'm interested in truth. My name belongs on that project. And it will be, he said. You've earned that. I nodded once, then left the room without another word. I didn't want a round of applause. I wanted resolution. By that afternoon, I was scheduled to present the Portland project again. This time, to a joint panel from Archer and Hayes and city officials. At 3 p.m., I walked into the second-floor presentation suite. Clean slate. No Karen. Just me, a laptop, and the weight of my own work finally being seen. Tyler Dawson was already there, flanked by 2 colleagues. On the other side sat 2 officials from Portland's zoning board, arms crossed, faces neutral. You ready? Harold asked from behind me. I've been ready, I said, for a long time. The lights dimmed. I clicked the first slide. This is the Portland waterfront redevelopment, I began, designed around 3 core principles: sustainability, accessibility, and economic integration. What you'll see today was built not only with those in mind, but with real data, real cost modeling, and community-first planning. No interruptions. No fake smiles from the side. No one cutting me off to take credit. I walked them through every segment: the coastal flow mapping, the rainwater recycling infrastructure, the multi-tiered pedestrian grid. One of the city planners leaned forward, nodding. The Archer and Hayes team scribbled notes. Halfway through, I clicked into the design overlay and showed the original design file metadata, created by Denise Harper. Created on March 17, 2024. Tyler raised his hand. These are the files we received, except stripped of attribution. I nodded, because they were sent under my name without my knowledge. Karen Mark submitted them using access to my system during my scheduled vacation. That has been verified by our IT department. The Portland official finally spoke. And you can answer technical questions related to zoning flow-through and hydrology assumptions? I smiled. Ask anything. They did. And I answered every single one. From engineering density to transit accessibility to budget splits over fiscal quarters. By the end, their nods had shifted into something quieter. Respect. When I finished, Harold stood. I'd like to formally state that Denise Harper is the original designer behind every component of the Portland proposal. Karen Marks has been terminated. All credits and documentation are being updated accordingly. The older zoning official gave me a long look. Ms. Harper, would you be willing to act as primary liaison between Reynolds and the city from this point forward? I took a breath. Yes, I said. Absolutely. They left shortly after, murmuring to each other in quiet approval. Archer and Hayes stayed behind. Tyler extended his hand. We'd still like to partner on this, with you leading the design side. I shook his hand firmly. I'll consider it, on my terms. As they filed out, Harold approached one last time. Denise, I owe you more than I can say. I didn't see it. You didn't want to, I said. She gave you a clean narrative, a golden girl with the perfect pitch. I won't make that mistake again. I looked at him. Good, because I'm not cleaning up anyone else's lies from here on out. Harold nodded. Understood. As I walked out of that room, something settled inside me. Not revenge, not even relief, just a quiet, powerful certainty. I had faced her in the open. I had presented the truth. And for once, it wasn't filtered through someone else's story. It was mine, and they had no choice now but to listen. Karen was gone. Just like that, the woman who once held my career in a stranglehold vanished from the company directory, her name scrubbed from projects she never earned. Her office stood empty for a week before someone from HR quietly boxed up her things. Nobody said it out loud, but the office moved differently now. Calmer, a little more honest. 3 days after the boardroom fallout, I received a formal letter from Harold. It was short, but it said everything it needed to. Denise, please accept our deepest apologies for the events of the past months. Your contributions not only shaped the Portland project, but many of Reynolds' most successful ventures in the past decade. Consider this letter your official reinstatement, with promotion to executive design lead, effective immediately. Below that was something I hadn't expected, a scanned copy of his handwritten note. We were wrong. You weren't just the backbone, you were the mind. Thank you for not walking away. Harold. I closed the email and sat there for a moment, just breathing. That afternoon, I stood in front of the design team, my team now, and outlined the new workflow process I was implementing. Every file was to be watermarked and version controlled. Attribution would be locked. Junior designers were to be listed on every presentation they contributed to. No exceptions. I'm not here to play gatekeeper, I told them. I'm here to make sure no one gets buried the way I did. Heads nodded. Julia gave me a look that held more weight than applause ever could. The Portland project moved forward with me as the lead point of contact. Archer and Hayes signed a renewed agreement, this time with my name on the top line. City officials scheduled bi-weekly reviews with me directly, skipping the usual red tape. And when the revised plans were published on the city's website, they bore the credit line I'd dreamed of for years. Design lead, Denise Harper. My daughter called when she saw the post online. Mom, you're trending, she laughed. Some urban design blog is calling you the quiet architect of the year. I rolled my eyes, smiling. Better than being the invisible one. Proud of you, she said. Told you. Smart always beats shiny. Karen didn't resurface. Word spread through industry circles fast. 3 different people messaged me within a week. She tried to apply here. We passed. Her name was radioactive now. No one wanted to be the firm that gave a second chance to someone who built a portfolio out of stolen work. The woman who once stole ideas from others was now the warning others used to teach their teams. Credit the work, or this is how it ends. I didn't cheer when I heard it. I just got back to work. Stronger, clearer, in full control of the name on the blueprint. Mine. We were at dinner when my daughter asked me. It was just the 2 of us, sitting in our favorite little Italian place near the waterfront. The same one we'd gone to every year on her birthday since she was 10. She was 25 now, in a crisp blazer and jeans, sipping red wine like she belonged in every room she walked into. She looked at me over the rim of her glass. Was it worth it? She asked. I didn't answer right away. The question hit harder than I expected. I thought about all the nights I'd stayed late, making Karen look good while she dismissed my work as collaborative. All the times I bit my tongue while she walked out of meetings with applause I earned. I thought about the humiliation of that staff meeting, when she tried to erase me for good. But then I thought about now, about how my name was finally on the Portland project, about how I led the team, not in silence, but with purpose, about the interns who now came to me with questions, knowing I'd credit them when they delivered, about the apology from Harold, and the respect I earned not by shouting, but by refusing to be silenced. I looked at my daughter and smiled. The vindication at the end? I said. That was worth waiting for. She raised her glass, clinked it against mine. To starting over, she said. No, I corrected, lifting my glass higher. To starting right. As we toasted, the lights of the waterfront flickered through the window beside us. I felt it then, this quiet, steady peace. Not because someone handed it to me, because I took it back. What they tried to bury had bloomed right in front of them. And now, they had no choice but to watch it grow.